See how scared you got. Of course, we want to thank Razer for being one of the E3 2021 sponsors. Of course, giving us these tired old blades nobody cares about. But this Blade 14, RTX 3080 built right in. Of course, the Razer.
I'm taking that.
Thank you so much. No, I'm taking that.
Okay, we'll fight.
Okay, well,
we've done it before.
You know what? I'll take the hand-me-down. I'll be a little.
Hello, I'm Mike Brown, Creative Director at Playground Games, and I can't wait to show you what we've been working on. Horizon is known for fun, freedom, and beauty. This year, the Horizon Festival arrives in beautiful, diverse Mexico. This is the largest and most diverse open world ever in a Forza Horizon game. And there is no better car to explore it than the stunning AMG Project One Forza Edition. Rendered in unparalleled detail and with ray tracing in Forza Vista, thanks to the power of the Xbox Series consoles. I've invited along some of the team to help give you a taste of some of the amazing content that's waiting for you in Forza Horizon 5. Please welcome Bill, Maddie, Sierra, and Don from the Forza team.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, guys, what's up?
Hey, everyone.
Hey, what's up, Mike?
And we also have Abraham with us as well. He's one of the talented actors who will be appearing in the game.
Bienvenidos a Mexico. I can't wait to show you what we've been working on.
Was that Ashley Tisdale?
We begin in the rainforest
I didn't
on
know
an
that going
expedition.
into it.
This is a
which I was
new
like, wow,
campaign
this is
mode
definitely
in
an
which you
upgrade
set
from High
out
School
on an
Musical.
adventurous journey across Mexico to explore new locations and discover places.
But yeah, and I think also, because we had the VO panel yesterday, which was great,
Yeah.
and it just goes to show, right, like the impact that video games are having. Hollywood stars coming in, you know, lending their voice, lending their face, their acting, their skills to this, really bringing these characters to life is just going to add even more layers to this horror.
That's a huge thing. If you've never played before, performance capture is a huge deal for Supermassive. They go through, they use the facial animation. They want you to feel like you're watching a movie. So we will see soon enough how the Dark Pictures anthology pans out this time around with House of Ashes. But for now, let's toss it over to the one, the only, Jackie Jing.
Brothers in arms, or each man for himself. Survival depends on choice. Will you find the path to save everyone, or be lost in the darkness? I'm sorry, I'm just a little excited about this title. Dan, I saw you taking lots of notes. You were taking notes about the mechanics, actually, but I know you're really thrilled with the story as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I am here for this. So.
Well, I'm a big old history nerd, so I was super stoked to hear more about the setting. You know, it's really tying in a lot of ancient lore about the Akkadian Empire. You have Naram Sin, this guy who declared himself like the god king of the Akkadian Empire and desecrated this temple, and now it's coming back to haunt us in modern day. It's also interesting to use the Iraq War as a setting. It is definitely a fraught time period and event during which to set a game, but also I think a rich sort of backdrop for horror in this setting, because you're tapping into sort of Mesopotamian mythology of Pazuzu, this king of wind demons who's tormenting all of these soldiers, and I'm really excited to see what they can do. I told you I was taking notes. I did some research. I'm excited. I can't wait to experience all 60 death animations.
I know the 60 unique deaths. Okay, Avi Chan's face right now is just killing me. Avi, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking that if I'm ever trapped in like a dark cave, I'm probably going to stick next to Dan because he understands what we should be doing. King of what now? You're looking up all this history on Pazuzu?
He's the king of wind demons. No big deal.
Come on, everybody knows that. I don't even know what the king of wind demons is. What was it?
Oh, he's Pazuzu.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
You may remember him from The Exorcist as well.
Yes. Okay. Avi, you were obviously a big fan of the. Sorry, we're like Dan, just like I could go on. Pazuzu. Exactly. I was like, okay. But Avi, you know, we've been talking about Resident Evil Village like at length. We both like horror survival, but also like when someone's playing with us. And I thought that it's great that it's co-op, so we can be scared together while we play.
Yeah, I'm just going to be sitting behind Dan and watching him play, because that's exactly what I did with Until Dawn, because I'm like, cool, I can't hold a controller and, you know, try to guide these teenagers to safety. I'm going to step on a branch and individually kill them all. But Dan was going into like the history of all of it, and I'm going as like, oh, 2003, that's a little too close. And I didn't pass all my history classes, but I hope that Pazuzu doesn't, you know, pop up anywhere in a textbook. But something that was really interesting for me when we were going through the trailers and going through that little dev talk is that they showed us Pazuzu. They showed us the monster. They showed us what it looks like inside the cave. So there's part of me wondering, like, usually with horror games, you don't show people the scary right away. So I'm wondering if maybe there's like a hidden layer of something else that they're not showing us yet that's going to catch people off guard, thinking that they're going in going like, I did my research, I know everything.
I know how to deal with a Pazuzu. This is easy.
I know. So you two would fall into the depths together, and then I would somehow be stuck with Michael, and he'd be like talking about JRPGs, and I'd be like, oh my goodness, we're in a world of hurt right now.
If I make a deal with the devil, I can turn into a very attractive protagonist, and then I could probably possess Pazuzu if I do negotiations like you can in SMT5. No, anyway, like one thing I want to say about this one is the free cam controls. That's different for Supermassive. So I'm going to wonder how that works, because I feel like they're very in control of camera angles and what you see before you make choices. I'm sure there's like transition phases where you actually make your choices and all other stuff. It's just something new from them. So I just want to see how that plays out, especially when I'm with a bunch of other people trying to get very skilled.
And Damon, I know you're all about retro games, but I also know you love a good story. I know for me, I felt like this had a lot of heart. There was dialogue that we saw, and it really hit me to my core.
Yeah, and they showed the actors doing the motion capture. I love horror movies. I love horror games. I'm a kind of a gore hound. I love blood and guts, and I love kill gags. Whoa. So like, I'm looking forward to see all the inventive and clever ways that Pazuzu is going to kill our soldier friends.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. I just like saying Pazuzu, even though it's absolutely horrifying. Yes. Anyways, Goms, I can't talk. Games have changed and evolved so much over the years, and with those changes, so has the coverage of our favorite games. Outlets like PC Gamer, IGN, Polygon, and GameSpot have all led the way in gaming coverage, and for the first time ever, we've assembled the editors-in-chief of all those organizations and our Voices of E3 series. Take a look.
Hello, welcome back to E3 2021. My name is Chris String. I run GamesIndustry.biz, which is one of the world's biggest video games business websites. And joining me today to talk about E3 and the future of games in general are some of the biggest names in the video games media, from IGN, GameSpot, Polygon, and PC Gamer. But rather than me do the introductions, I like to pass over to the panel. Hello, everybody. Who are you? What do you do? How did you get here?
Sure. I'm Christopher Thomas Plant. That's my full birth name. It sounds like Christmas Plant if you say it really fast. I'm the editor-in-chief of Polygon.com, and it's a website.
Thanks. This is Evan Lottie over at PC Gamer. I'm the editor-in-chief.
Hi, everybody. Tina Amini, editor-in-chief of IGN. I don't have a cool Christmas Twitter name, but I do have a really cool Halloween Twitter name that someone gave to me, which is Tina Aminideville. So that's all I got.
Hi, how you doing? My name is Randolph Ramsey. I'm the editorial director from GameSpot. I go by Randy in this country because while it's okay to be called Randy in America, if you say that anywhere else in the world, you will be met with sniggers. You can't say, hi, I'm Randy to anyone else out there.
Yeah, it's definitely true for us in the UK. So asking to all of you here, what does sort of E3 sort of represent to you? I don't know if I want to pick on somebody, but Randy, maybe.
It's difficult to separate E3 as a professional working in the industry and as a fan. I've been in this industry for so long that, it's E3 to me is usually just a lot of late nights, being overworked, not having enough sleep. But I think, outside of the professional stuff, I think E3 for me, it allows me the chance to feel like just a regular old fan of video games. I still get hyped about stuff that gets revealed. For those brief shining moments of those major press conferences or during like a key announcement, I can sort of forget that there's all this work that I need to do around this big event and just like be a fan of video games again.
Yeah, having that in-person reaction, like you're typically sitting, if you're at a press conference, which I think probably for many of us, we maybe stopped attending them in like a physical capacity and maybe had like, we're in a war room of sorts with our team. But in general, just being able to sit next to your team and everyone's like reacting and then quickly scrambling to their keyboards again because they need to be typing up the news. That's obviously the primary element of it. But for me personally too, it's a bit of a reunion because we'll all see each other in person. But it is that opportunity to have that one space, that 1 week. We all agree we're going to take that time and be in one space together and be able to connect.
Yeah, I think E3 is the center of gravity too, right? I mean, in an environment, we saw what happened last year what happens when there's not an E3, right? Everyone kind of goes it alone. And, there's definitely some pros to that. But I think from a coverage perspective, we like having, I mean, you guys probably all share the same attitude. We like having as much time as possible to, do an interview, cover something, and not be rushed off to the next thing back to back to back. But there is kind of an efficiency for us, I think, and the viewer, the consumer, and having everything neatly collected under one roof for, 3 or 4 days. The intensity and kind of spectacle that comes as a result of that, I think, can be genuinely fun and exciting. So, I mean, at least in North America, it looks like E3 will continue to be that center of gravity for the foreseeable future.
For better or worse, you get reminded very blatantly that, like, this is a human enterprise. There are some real people who are putting in some long hours trying to make for the best possible event for all of us.
Well, this year is a digital event, and there are lots of questions about what E3 becomes in the future. There's a lot of chatter about that. So what do you hope to see from it come sort of 2022 or beyond that? What are your hopes for the future of E3, and what would you like to see?
It has to become more social. And I think that is a thing that E3 was leaning towards. I think it's important to remember what function E3 served back in the day. In the 90s, video games were for children or dorks. And mainstream publications covered it once a year, and all video game companies need to put all their money into one basket and pray that the New York Times wrote that story, right? Now it's the opposite. I mean, sure, newspapers are still catching up, but otherwise, video games are the center of culture for young people. I think The Guardian wrote about that. And because of that, E3's purpose no longer has to be, hey, let's get people excited for this one day. Let's put all of our money into it. It has to be something different, which it seems to be more celebratory, right? That kind of has become a purpose. So I hope that whatever we see it become in the future is, like you said, Chris, more inclusive, that it is this thing that is bringing people in, that is the center of gravity, that is serving a larger communal purpose.
And it is significant, obviously, despite the drawbacks of everything, of all of us being in a pandemic that's going to be running about 2 years long by the end of this, or hopefully just 2 years long by the end of this. I think it is significant that when we are being in this digital format now, I think it's nice that more people can connect. Obviously, it loses some of that social element. So I too, like Chris, hope that is retained. And I selfishly hope that we all go back in person. But I think keeping some elements digital does help kind of connect to a broader community. And there can be various aspects of that. Obviously, the press conferences are something that are typically digitally available to begin with. But are there some of those panels that have been introduced, or some other versions of connectivity or versions of celebrations that is something that people can experience in person or at home too, to feel like they're a part of that entire celebration, of the festivities, of the news breaking, and they can get a sense of that same excitement that they may be feeling home alone because for whatever reason they're not able to attend.
I'm kind of hopeful that the live aspect becomes a lot more like Comic-Con in the future, in which it's much more a celebration of games culture, and community while you're there live in person. I think the ESA, as everyone pointed out, has been sort of moving towards this hybrid thing where, half of it is still behind closed doors meetings with retailers, and then they're trying to, introduce more people into it, and they can play some games and look at some big booths. But, I think, Comic-Con does that thing where it does service the fan aspect of it really well by having that, focus on the show floor of, the culture, things you can buy, artists you can interact with, while still having that sort of hype vehicle and talking about the next big thing. So, if anything, I would hope that, they push that sort of live community aspect more when you're there.
How far do you think they should go in that direction? Would you just like to see them take a full-on Gamescom approach where there are, potentially tens of thousands of people, having a full public day, dedicated to, that's really servicing the public more than the trade side, the business side?
Yeah, I think a traveling E3 show that goes around all year and visits multiple cities.
Some people hate you for that one.
Luckily, I'm not in the USA. But yeah, and you know, I realized that like PAX does this to a certain extent as well. But you know, I think what what E3 could be is still have that spotlight on the biggest and the best things, and allowing people to as I said, get hyped, get excited about their their favorite hobby.
Yeah, and just to build off that really quick, I think the thing that developers are going to have to ask themselves now, and we've really hit this turning point culturally, is can we let go of the secrecy, right? Because Comic-Con works because they put talent in front of people. But when you put talent in front of people, suddenly they have leverage. And that means that, they're worth more money. I mean, just to be very blunt. And that goes for voice actors, that goes for designers. And I think there is a version of E3 in all conferences that makes a lot of sense where, we don't need to have vertical slices for every game. They cost a ton of money. They take up a ton of hours. There can be a distraction. But if these people become celebrities in their own right, that can take their place. That can create these Comic-Con environments. And I would love to see that. I think it would be healthy for the industry as a whole, for people to actually be, again, in front of their games, not just behind them.
Evan, actually, I'd love it. You mentioned the Gamescom model, but as a business journalist, I actually find I love E3. I love all the excitement of it. I love the buzz of it. But as a business journalist, it's a nightmare. It's busy and noisy, and I want to talk about sales figures, right? And it's there's almost two parts of me. There's the fan that wants to see the big booths and the exciting, all the noise and stuff, and then there's the part of me that wants to have a little quiet place, have a cup of coffee and a bit of Wi-Fi and a bit of networking. So I think I would like to have a sort of business show and a consumer show that sort of sit side by side. I don't know how you I don't know how you fit that into the LACC, but I think that's something that I would like. But I mean, at the same time, they're sort of moving to that sort of hybrid model anyway, and I think transition's always tough. But I'd love to see that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Is that something you're interested in?
I mean, with the kind of competition that we've referenced here with PAX, right? It's just essential that these events have a true purpose that is contemporary and really self-aware of what else is happening and the other options people have. I mean, when you go to PAX, right, you see families. I see lots of, thinking back to the PAXs I've gone, it's like mothers and daughters and fathers and sons that have decided to take their vacation to this event because they're a huge fan of, GameX, and they want to hang out and be a part of that, right? And I mean, it's interesting to get a sense of our kind of multifaceted feelings in this conversation, because GDC is probably my favorite event of the year because the press is not the focus at all. There's not big announcements or anything. And yet we as press get some of our best material out of GDC because it's an environment where game developers are just talking to each other and we're kind of listening in. And it's an environment where game developers have their guard down. They're not, engaged in the deep secrecy that I think Chris is referencing there very often, right? They're doing panels. They're sort of, talking up their design and, their narratives and what's kind of interesting to them in the moment. And that's a great environment for interviewing and discovering stuff. So I don't know. I mean, whichever direction E3 takes long term, I just think it sort of has to not compromise and sort of meet in the middle of all this stuff, but really have clarity and identity.
Well, I'm very much aware of the time, so I'm going to wrap up with a sort of fun last question. So what is a memorable E3 interview that you can share with us?
Mine's a little sad in retrospect, but I still very much enjoyed the conversation that I had. It was before No Man's Sky came out, and I interviewed Sean Murray, and he was so excited to talk about this game and to talk about all the procedural generation and that work that was going into it. Alongside that interview, he had one of his programmers showing me behind the scenes how that procedural generation worked. I thought it was such an interesting way of doing an interview where I was actually seeing behind the scenes elements of what was actually going into the game while he was speaking to them in what was a really eloquent way. So it's only a little sad in retrospect because obviously there are a lot of moments where developers kind of maybe regret, did I say too much? Did I accidentally promise something that I wasn't intending on promising? But I think ultimately at the core, for me in that experience, like I could just see his passion and I could just see his pride for what his team was working on. And I think that there's something still, really genuine and true and heartfelt about that.
I mean, for me, my favorite interviews are usually the conversations that happen at restaurants or bars afterwards, because E3 interviews tend to be very prepared. People are very press trained for them. So I guess I'll share something else, which is my favorite moment of E3, and it's very ego-driven. But a few years ago, I was at E3 at the front of the main hall, right? And it was the final day, and I was doing a direct-to-camera of like, hey, this is E3, I'm going to wrap it up. And at this point, I'm like running on no sleep, and I'm like covered in sweat. I look like an absolute mess. And from behind me, this very lovely, tall, and handsome man comes around front, steps in front of our camera as I'm preparing, bops me on the nose, and just goes, too cute, and then walks off. And it was like it was the nicest I've ever felt in my entire life.
Like you, Chris, the best conversations at E3 happen outside the floor, outside these kind of formal settings. Dean Hall is someone who's just an absolutely unfiltered, water hose of information and design thoughts. Like anytime I sit down with him, it's a chance to sort of you get the sense that he's peering into his sketchbook. I mean, this is someone who's fundamentally optimistic and imaginative, and half the things that he tells you, like his idea for a mountaineering game, or because he climbed Mount Everest, like they're not going to come true, but it's still like just someone who's just constantly dreaming and is like completely removed from that scripted, media-trained personality that we're referring to here.
Real quick for me, just like Chris, not the best, but for me the most embarrassing, having to play Sekiro in front of Miyazaki, and then do an interview. Couldn't get past the first enemy I came across, and then had to do a 50-minute chat with him. So that was lovely.
Well, thank you so much. That's it from us. Thank you to Tina, Randy, Evan, and Christopher. Thank you so much. Do check out all of our websites for all your E3 news and goings on. Have fun during the event, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the show.
Everybody loves watching a speedrun of their favorite game, but what if you got a chance to peek into the mind of the developers behind those games as they watch their hard work get completely destroyed right in front of them?
What is happening right now?
That's exactly what happens on every episode of Devs React to Speedruns. We invite you to ride along with the developers as they watch, react, and enjoy some of the craziest gameplay by the most skilled speedrunners on the planet. Tune in every Saturday for a brand new episode.
If you're not following IGN on social media, what are you waiting for? We're constantly updating our feeds to bring you the latest news, gameplay, custom original content, the best user-generated videos and art, memes, and a whole lot more. Be part of the conversation throughout the year. Follow IGN on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and Snapchat.
$99. It's so fun, and the thing is, I'm super competitive too. I'm just like, bet you think you're gonna get top 20? Get out of here. Get out of my face. Get out of my face. Get bunched on. It's my first session, I got like top 30. The next session, it was top 20. And then the third session forward, it was top 10. I see what I want, and I go get it. I want my first place, and they're gonna give it to me. I don't care if I don't get first place, it's fine. But that's like the mentality I have for it. And yeah, I'm actually super competitive.
IGN Summer of Gaming 2021 is presented by the Amazon original movie, The Tomorrow War, exclusively on Prime Video July 2nd.
Our way, no question about it, but what is it that draws us into a game's story? Is it a whodunit, maybe becoming a heroic protagonist, perhaps? Or maybe it's just a story that makes us laugh, that keeps us coming back. When we return, more on what stories we love in our games.
IGN Summer of Gaming 2021 is presented by the Amazon original movie, The Tomorrow War, exclusively on Prime Video July 2nd.
Everybody loves watching a speedrun of their favorite game, but what if you got a chance to peek into the mind of the developers behind those games as they watch their hard work get completely destroyed right in front of them?
What is happening right now?
That's exactly what happens on every episode of Devs React to Speedruns. We invite you to ride along with the developers as they watch, react, and enjoy some of the craziest gameplay by the most skilled speedrunners on the planet. Tune in every Saturday for a brand new episode.
If you're not following IGN on social media, what are you waiting for? We're constantly updating our feeds to bring you the latest news, gameplay, custom original content, the best user-generated videos and art, memes, and a whole lot more. Be part of the conversation throughout the year. Follow IGN on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and Snapchat.
Not only is IGN the world's biggest media brand for games and entertainment, but we also have a team of some of the world's biggest fans of your favorite franchises. From breaking news and exclusives, never-before-seen looks at movies and games, to reviews, Let's Plays, and live streams, IGN brings you all the coverage you need, no matter where you are. Whether you're on IGN.com, the IGN app, YouTube, Facebook, or Snapchat, we've always got you covered. IGN, the #1 source for all games and entertainment fans worldwide.
Hey you! Are you looking for a new way to watch your favorite videos and shows from IGN? Well, check out IGN Watch.
Welcome back to IGN.
It's our new app that's all about video, because there really just aren't enough video apps these days.
I get to unbox this PlayStation 5.
Follow subjects you care about, play videos in the background, or send them to your TV via AirPlay or Chromecast.
I gotta get one of those.
Download it today.
Me think that leave room for interpretation.
What I've always looked for in a game was just this really grand, epic story that makes you feel like you're part of a universe that's not Earth.
Ooh, I'm such a sucker for narrative-driven stories.
I appreciate really good character development.
Stories that you can shape yourself.
You know, I always go back to the Telltale. Just having the option to have choices, to really feel like your choices matter. Like, what do you mean? I picked this and he died?
Feeding you breadcrumbs of what happened here and what this story is, and it's up to you, the player, to sort of like infer what you will and just take you down this rabbit hole.
I just got done playing Red Dead Redemption 2. I didn't want to stop playing it. I've been tempted to just start playing it immediately after I've finished it.
I like stories that are willing to explore more difficult topics, but not treat it like it's something that you can joke about.
Games are empathy machines.
And I can just appreciate when they have this absolutely massive narrative and so much going on that it could absolutely turn people away from it and they don't care.
Set in places or have storylines that are incredibly depressing or morbid, but then they inject these bits and pieces of humor. Fallout does that really well.
For me, the stories I appreciate the most in games are always women kicking ass.
Welcome back to E3 Live from Los Angeles, and I want to continue this conversation about storytelling in games. Every game has some sort of story to tell, but some games have really taken their narratives to cinematic levels. Games like The Last of Us, Detroit Become Human, BioShock, Red Dead, just to name a few. Guys, what type of stories do you like in your games? Alex, I'm starting with you.
Yeah. Okay, so the easy answer for me will always and forever be Halo.
Of course.
The Halo 1 story, it was actually one of the first, like, as a kid, like one of the first like narrative games I actually paid attention to for some reason. I got into the books, and then from there it just became a fascination. Another one that always stays in the back of my mind was Skies of Arcadia.
Oh, wow, okay.
I love that game as a kid, and something about like being a pirate but believing in yourself and all that. It was just like a very uplifting story, and I enjoyed it so much. So yeah, those are ones that stand out for me.
Jackie, what about you?
I think I've spoken at length about the Super Nintendo games that have had a profound influence on me. But actually, I wanted to talk about The Last of Us and The Last of Us 2. You know, yeah, I mean, duh, right?
I'm glad somebody's finally talking about it.
I know, right? I mean, have y'all heard about this game
little
before?
independent studio,
yeah,
no,
exactly.
nobody's
It's
talking
not
about
extremely popular, but
Yeah.
I'll be honest though, like, That game haunts me to this day. I just remember, I mean, the opening scene. I still have not seen a game just punch me in the face like that. Like, I just remember being terrified, sad, angry, and then I was like, I'm 2 minutes into this thing, and I don't know what the hell is going on here. You know what I mean?
It's heavy.
Yeah, it was just extremely heavy. And I thought The Last of Us 2 was fantastic as well. I know, you know, people are quite divided on that title, but for me, with Ellie and Abby, it's just, we saw how human they were. Yeah. You know, there were times where I absolutely hated them, and I was just like, I can't stand you. And then there were times where they had me weeping, and I would just totally empathetic to their situation. Exactly. And I think that, you know, there's tons of amazing games out there that, you know, we're just like, man, that hits me right in my gut and my core, that I can definitely relate to that. But just those two titles in particular, it's just a fantastic series. And
especially for The Last of Us and their storytelling, right? For you're talking about things we can relate to. For me, it's the ones where we can't, but we still love that game. And so for me, you know, the final scene in The Last of Us, no spoilers, right? But the final time you're playing The Last of Us Part 1, like, I remember finishing that and putting it down and be like, I got killed because I thought I was going to have a choice. I thought it was going to do the video game thing of, do you want to do this or do you want to do that? And I got destroyed because I didn't do what the thing it needed me to do. And so I remember finishing that and being like, Joel's the bad guy, and having that conversation about that with so many different people, and then going to part 2, and then throughout the game being like, don't do that, Ellie, but I keep wanting to play as her and understand what's happening. Like, that's the power of video games, right?
Indeed it is.
Storyline-based games aren't the only ones we love. When we return here at E3 Live from LA, we are taking a look at our favorite first-person shooters of all time. Don't go anyway. I wonder what Golden Boy is going to say. I wonder what Golden Boy is going to say, all right? We'll shoot our shot in just a few.
My brain turned on playing Super Mario Brothers for the NES.
I started with Super Mario on the NES.
I think my first Nintendo I broke, though, because I thought it was a piggy bank. So I shoved a bunch of pennies in it.
I have a photo of my mum with me literally in her belly playing Duck Hunt.
I got really, really into Duck Hunt. It definitely, like, helped me learn not to be a sore loser, because every time I would see that dog come up and laugh at me, ooh, filled with so much hate as a 5-year-old.
Eventually, me and my big brother were saving up for a long, long time to finally afford ourselves a Game Boy.
A pink Game Boy Color with Pokemon Red.
I got that sweet, transparent purple Game Boy Color. Went to town on some Pokemon Blue.
Pokemon Yellow was like my #1. And way better than Red and Blue because it was harder because you start off with a Pikachu.
I wouldn't say I really found my passion until Super Nintendo. Link to the Past was just mind-blowing to me as a kid.
I must have been 5. I started with the Nintendo 64.
Donkey Kong 64, Nintendo 64, yellow cartridge, and putting it in the, you know, blowing on it to make sure it worked properly.
We got a Nintendo 64 and we started getting into GoldenEye and stuff like that.
Did you also play Mario Kart with your cousins? I did. I got so good, I learned how to drift with my feet. I don't know why.
IGN Summer of Gaming 2021 is powered by Duracell, the official battery sponsor of Summer of Gaming 2021. And Army National Guard. Pursue multiple paths while you serve. Reach your greatest potential with Army National Guard.
Everybody loves watching a speedrun of their favorite game, but what if you got a chance to peek into the mind of the developers behind those games as they watch their hard work get completely destroyed right in front of them?
What is happening right now?
That's exactly what happens on every episode of Devs React to Speedruns. We invite you to ride along with the developers as they watch, react, and enjoy some of the craziest gameplay by the most skilled speedrunners on the planet. Tune in every Saturday for a brand new episode.
If you're not following IGN on social media, what are you waiting for? We're constantly updating our feeds to bring you the latest news, gameplay, custom original content, the best user-generated videos and art, memes, and a whole lot more. Be part of the conversation throughout the year. Follow IGN on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and Snapchat.
Not only is IGN the world's biggest media brand for games and entertainment, but we also have a team of some of the world's biggest fans of your favorite franchises. From breaking news and exclusives, never-before-seen looks at movies and games, to reviews, Let's Plays, and live streams, IGN brings you all the coverage you need, no matter where you are. Whether you're on IGN.com, the IGN app, YouTube, Facebook, or Snapchat, we've always got you covered. IGN, the #1 source for all games and entertainment fans worldwide.
Hey you! Are you looking for a new way to watch your favorite videos and shows from IGN? Well, check out IGN Watch.
Welcome back to IGN.
It's our new app that's all about video, because there really just aren't enough video apps these days.
I get to unbox this PlayStation 5.
Follow subjects you care about, play videos in the background, or send them to your TV via AirPlay or Chromecast.
I gotta get one of those.
Download it today from the App Store or Play Store, or both. We're not your boss. IGN Watch. Check it out.
When I was in college, in the early 90s, I was a computer science major at the University of Minnesota. And I loved gaming, I loved computers. I knew I always wanted to do something in gaming. But it wasn't until, I played the very first Doom game, Doom 1. I never even played Wolfenstein before that. But I remember I downloaded Doom 1. It was like my entire life changed. And I was so amazed and surprised and at awe in the fact that there were games like this, and that also let people like us, users, create our own content. And when I learned how to make my own levels in Doom, I thought that it's amazing because the possibilities were infinite. And I fell in love with making levels. I was lucky enough to be contacted by id Software to work on some levels for the Doom 2 Masters Edition. And then they needed a full-time level designer, and I started at id Software as just a little level designer, and I worked my way up. We just wanted to make cool stuff, and working with the small team, everyone was passionate about what they were doing. That was our focus, to make cool things. So the pressure was brought on by ourselves, and in the interactions that we did have with our fans, especially like when QuakeCon took off. That was awesome. That was a lot of pressure when you actually go and meet people in person. But I do believe that there is more pressure on young teams today, especially ones that have had success, because I've seen it. The biggest handicap of people after making a successful game is their own success and the pressure that the world puts on them, and the pressure that they put on themselves. So we were blessed, to be honest, to kind of create this team while kind of the internet created that, the behemoth that it is now. I would love to say that we were so clever that we had this great vision that we executed on, but no, we were just making cool stuff, and the world just came to us.
Woo, baby, time to talk about one of my favorite genres in gaming. Welcome back to E3, live from Los Angeles. Now, Doom is certainly one of the godfathers of the FPS genre, along with Wolfenstein. Thank you, Avali, for fanning me down there. You also got classics like GoldenEye, a bunch of games we grew up with that we loved. But, guys, what FPS titles would you consider your personal faves? David, we'll start with you.
Well, it's funny, right before we came back, we were talking about how hot it is in the studio right now. Ooh. You were just getting some fan service.
Yes.
Someone mentioned it's...
Oh, he made a weep joke.
That's good. Someone mentioned super hot, that it's super hot in here. That reminded me, super hot's definitely one of my favorite shooters of the past few years. Such a cool mechanic that time only moves when you do. Yeah. It's not a shooter that's about quick reflexes. It's not a twitch shooter. It's about careful planning out your next move. That appeals to the turn-based strategy fan in me. And on top of that, it tells a very cool and creepy story.
Yeah, Super Hot's great. Also great in VR as well. Really fun, really fun. Dan, what about you?
I have to give it up for the game that really introduced me to the world of competitive multiplayer shooters, and that is Unreal Tournament.
Let's go.
Throwback.
Yeah.
It was one of my all-time favorite games, playing InstaGibCF, all-time great InstaGibCTF, excuse me, and my favorite map of all time. I don't think it's been rivaled to this day, and that is Facing Worlds, one of the best multiplayer maps ever. You're just on this moon base. The physics in that game were so good. The gunplay was so good. I can't wait to go back and revisit it when I get home. Now I'm jonesing to play.
Now you want to play. What about for you, Michael?
I am an OG Counter-Strike player. So CS 1.6, nice. I love CS because there's a very particular way to play it, like spray patterns, strategies, positioning. It's so important. Are you CT? Are you on T side? Yep. And where exactly do you plant the bomb? There's so many intricate things about CS that I actually learned, so it made me feel smart. It made me feel like I was good at the game because I had a couple friends who taught me all the very specific things that you should do. That's competitive multiplayer. I know it's this next, what I'm about to say is, it's not necessarily a first-person shooter, it's a first-person RPG, but Deus Ex, the original, that came out in 2000, changed my life.
Heck yeah, that is a great game. Avli, I know you're traditionally, League of Legends and, those games, but I know you branch outside. What do you got?
So I was going to say Valorant at first, but then I realized, I remember when I was in like 2nd or 3rd grade, I played this online game. It was the poor man's Counter-Strike, and it was called Soldier Front. It was totally random. It was like you couldn't afford CSGO. I couldn't afford like an Xbox to play Modern Warfare or something. So I was just like this 10-year-old kid. I'm like, I shot someone. I shot someone. That's the other thing. I didn't have to purchase it, so my parents didn't know I was playing it. But
wonderful.
Shout out to anyone who remembers that game.
Okay.
I don't know.
I like that. Some good ones that I'm going to rattle it off for you. Dusk, play that. Great game. Bullets Per Minute, another fantastic game. Try that out. Not a first-person shooter per se, but Ghost Runner, unbelievable. If you haven't checked that game out yet, really, really worth your time. And then there's this small independent game called Halo. That's the other one that you need to play right now. If you don't have Master Chief Collection, it's from an independent studio called 343 Studios. Check them out. I'm getting all hot and bothered talking about it.
I can tell. I can tell.
But yes, there are so many great FPS games. We didn't even get through like Quake, obviously Granddaddy, BioShock as well. Like you got a lot of great games, guys. But we're all done talking shooters for now. But when we return, an exclusive look at one of our favorite devs that we've seen here, Freedom Games' Dark Deity.
Let's go.
So grab your swords because that is going to be coming up next.
This isn't my con.
IGN Summer of Gaming 2021 is powered by Duracell, the official battery sponsor of Summer of Gaming 2021. And Army National Guard. Pursue multiple paths while you serve. Reach your greatest potential with Army National Guard.
Everybody loves watching a speedrun of their favorite game, but what if you got a chance to peek into the mind of the developers behind those games as they watch their hard work get completely destroyed right in front of them?
What is happening right now?
That's exactly what happens on every episode of Devs React to Speedruns. We invite you to ride along with the developers as they watch, react, and enjoy some of the craziest gameplay by the most skilled speedrunners on the planet. Tune in every Saturday for a brand new episode.
If you're not following IGN on social media, what are you waiting for? We're constantly updating our feeds to bring you the latest news, gameplay, custom original content, the best user-generated videos and art, memes, and a whole lot more. Be part of the conversation throughout the year. Follow IGN on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and Snapchat.
Not only is IGN the world's biggest media brand for games and entertainment, but we also have a team of some of the world's biggest fans of your favorite franchises. From breaking news and exclusives, never-before-seen looks at movies and games, to reviews, let's plays, and live streams, IGN brings you all the coverage you need, no matter where you are. Whether you're on IGN.com, the IGN app, YouTube, Facebook, or Snapchat, we've always got you covered. IGN, the #1 source for all games and entertainment fans worldwide.
Hey you! Are you looking for a new way to watch your favorite videos and shows from IGN? Well, check out IGN Watch.
Welcome back to IGN.
It's our new app that's all about video, because there really just aren't enough video apps these days.
I get to unbox this PlayStation 5.
Follow subjects you care about, play videos in the background, or send them to your TV via AirPlay or Chromecast.
I gotta get one of those.
Download it today from the App Store or Play Store, or both. We're not your boss.
Welcome back to E3 2021. Our next game takes place in a mythical land broken by the horrors of war and evil. With an array of weapons and magic at your side, are you ready to command one of the game's 30 characters to become a legend in the land of dark deity? If so, here's a look at the road ahead.
Whenever you need me. Maybe I should raise my rates. I feel my people.
Weakness has consequences. This would make for a fine tale.
Hey there, I'm Chip Moore, Game Director for Dark Deity, and it's finally time to reveal the release date. You may not know this, but Dark Deity is the first game that we've ever worked on, so to be at E3 showing this game is a dream come true. And we thought, what better way to make the most out of our first E3 than to release Dark Deity today, live on stream, right now. As of this moment, Dark Deity is available on Steam.
I can hear Michael and Dane going crazy back there. Dark Deity is available now for download at Steam, so go check it out. And the developer showcases continue here at E3 2021. Now it's time for Eureka Studio.
Hello everyone, welcome to Eureka Studio's E3 Showcase. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Stella. Eureka is a published team which started business in 2019.
So far, we've helped several indie games achieve success in the Chinese market.
And today, we are here to check out the latest selection of our upcoming titles.
There are quite a lot of games here. Let's just get started, and I bet you'll find a new favorite.
I need to find a missing girl, a journalist. But met a lot of resistance. What happened? I should be dead already.
Zishu, you need to find the journalist.
What the hell is going on? It seems I'm trapped in some kind of death loop. No, this place is not what it used to be. figure out what is going on.
The only way to go further is to get stronger.
SWS is a tactical siege game based on real-world physics. In this game, you can create your own squad and command them in battle, capture enemy cities, and you will win the war.
嗨，你好，我是超逼真的工程模拟器的开发者郭兴。这是一款操作简单、可爱又有趣的战术工程游戏。游戏里你不必费心每一个单位的操作，因为士兵们都有自己独立的 AI， 可以感知队友和周围的环境来协同作战，并且在战士焦灼时，你还可以附身在部队的指挥官自己直接上。在未来，我们还计划开发自定义模组和联机模式，希望你会喜欢。
If you're a fan of roguelike games, you have to check out Metal Mind and its 100% customizable mecha modification system.
Hi， 世界各地的玩家们，大家好，我是核心重组的制作人 Josh。我们的游戏是一款融合了机甲改造和 roguelite 元素的俯视角射击动作游戏。玩家可以通过在地牢中探索和战斗，获取资源和部件，综合考虑装甲、重量、热量、电力等物理机制，按照自己的想法构筑 build， 打造独一无二的战争机器，最后战胜敌人，大杀四方。
The Swordsman X Survival is an open-world survival craft game where gathering, crafting, and exploration fused with martial arts and battle experience.
The Immortal Mayor is a construction and management sim game. You will play as a local god that watches over the land. Befriend other gods and use magic to help your residents build a town.
let's check out another simulation game. Reshaping Mars is a strategy game where players construct and manage their bases on Mars. Your goal is to modify the planet into a place suitable for life.
全球的玩家朋友们，你们好，我是重塑火星的开发者山丘。重塑火星是一款火星题材的策略建造游戏，由我一个人独立开发。在游戏里，你将白手起家，从火星上面采集矿物、能源，研究科技，不断地改善火星的居住条件，迎接一批又一批的火星移民。同时，火星上有恶劣多变的自然条件，还有多势力之间的纷争和冲突，这些都将给你带来不小的挑战。希望重塑火星可以为你开启一场特别的火星之旅。
Moism is a Chinese martial art detective game. You will play as a detective who defeats enemies with wit and a super tongue. Crack the case and bring justice to the world.
说起来，似乎……
哎，会不会是？
不过这件披风上有一处奇怪的痕，就是在留下爆炸痕迹的披风背面中间，却有一条干净的痕迹。
小子，你不要太过嚣张。那么还有另一种可能，
一定有哪里不对。如果宗明之死确实如我推理的那样，那么这庄子里的每一个人，都可能是杀人凶手。
That's all for today's showcase. We hope you're looking forward to these games.
We'd like to thank our talented developers for bringing their games here, and thank you too for watching this video.
To stay up to date with all the latest news, please be sure to follow our official Twitter account, Eureka Studio.
Thank you all again, and have a good time.
Hey everybody, welcome back to E3 2021 and after that Eureka Studio Showcase. But before we talk about it, Golden Boy, again, thank you to Razer. Of course, all this technology fueling us, running us here over on the E3 stage.
That baby right there.
The Blade 14?
Yes, I've been eyeing it all day. It is gorgeous and I want it.
You're gonna get it? You talked a good game about pre-ordering beforehand.
Yeah, no, I definitely am going to pick that up for sure because I think, like, I need something slim. I need something slim. And I need something to play all of those great Eureka games on because I actually did quite like a few of them. Loopmancer, the first game that they showed, a 3D side-scroller, it looked pretty solid. We were trying to figure out if it was, like, more Metroidvania-like or, like, Dead Cells-like. We were trying to get the feel on it, so I'm interested in jumping into that and checking it out.
Sure, there you go. You get a look at it right there. I think from a E3 graphical perspective, the one that made me turn my head the most. There's a lot of other ones that are coming up that are stylized, that have a lot of different looks to them. And I did appreciate at the start of this one, Eureka being like, hey, we're going to show you a bunch of stuff. We hope you find